Good evening, and welcome to Red's Classic Theater. A new exhibit, a new book, and a new postage stamp all herald the 50th anniversary of Canada's largest teaching museum, the UBC Museum of Anthropology. Hi everybody, I'm Red Robinson. The museum's anniversary exhibit is drawing a lot of interest, and we'll show you more of it a little later on. Our movie this week marks a special event in the career of one of its stars. It's the 1982 action comedy 48 Hours, featuring Nick Nolte and the big screen debut of young Eddie Murphy. It was a rocky road getting this film to the screen, as more than a dozen writers were involved in the screenplay. Even Nolte and Murphy made improvised but uncredited contributions to the script. In the end, Murphy was convinced the movie would be a flop. We'll explain that a little later on. Now, here's Act One of 48 Hours. This week on Red's Classic Theater, we're visiting the UBC Museum of Anthropology as they celebrate their 50th anniversary. To help mark the occasion, the museum has opened Exhibit A, Objects of Intrigue. Now, these are artifacts specially selected by artists, scholars, and members of the museum staff. Among the objects on display is this tiny totem pole. It's the smallest in the world and was carved from a matchstick. This Tibetan robe is 250 years old, and this gold box was crafted by legendary First Nations carver Bill Reed. Some of the artifacts in this exhibit are rarely seen by the public, while others are displayed frequently. All of them help to demonstrate the depth and breadth of the museum's collection. Back with more from the UBC Museum of Anthropology in a moment. To help celebrate the UBC Museum of Anthropology's 50th anniversary, Canada Post has issued a special commemorative stamp. The stamp features a design created by Vancouver's Barbara Hodgson. The museum's also published a new book called Objects and Expressions, celebrating the collections of the Museum of Anthropology. If you'd like to know more about the museum's 50th anniversary celebration, call us tomorrow at TV 12 for a phone number. Now back to 48 Hours. Eddie Murphy is starring in 48 Hours this week on Red's Classic Theater. Eddie Murphy had serious doubts about the success of tonight's movie. He was so worried, in fact, that he believed his brief movie career would be over as soon as the film was released. During production, after most every take, Eddie would run to the phone to tell his manager how foolish he felt for agreeing to do the picture. And you can understand Murphy's pessimism, having been Paramount's second choice for the role of Reggie after Richard Pryor. But he shouldn't have felt badly. Nick Nolte was their third choice. Both Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds had passed on the offer. But the biggest blow to Murphy's ego was his paycheck. He earned 1/10 of what Nick Nolte was paid for his role in tonight's film. And we'll tell you what happened finally when the film was released later on. Now back to 48 Hours. We're visiting the UBC Museum of Anthropology this week on Red's Classic Theater. As I mentioned earlier, Eddie Murphy fully expected 48 Hours to be a flop, so he was totally unprepared for the positive response the film received. At the film's New York premiere, Murphy walked in virtually unnoticed, but when he tried to leave after the show, he was mobbed. Later at a reception, the same Paramount brass who brushed off 48 Hours were now lining up to have photos taken with him. Suddenly, Murphy was very sure of his future in motion pictures. And as soon as he could leave Saturday Night Live, he did. It's wild, he said. If you have a hit movie, you can ride it for 5 years. All of a sudden, I'm hot. And after 17 years, Eddie Murphy is still hot. He currently has 6 movies in production, including a sequel to Dr. Dolittle. And of course, his successful Fox TV series, The PJs. Now back to 48 Hours. 48 Hours is our feature movie this week on Red's Classic Theater. Born and raised in Omaha, Nick Nolte has lived life in the fast lane. He started drinking at an early age, flunked out of 5 colleges in 4 years, and received a 5-year suspended sentence for selling phony ID. But when Nolte moved to Los Angeles in 1964, he discovered that acting just might be his thing. Nolte first made waves with his Emmy-winning performance in Rich Man, Poor Man. He followed that with The Deep and Who'll Stop the Rain. At times, his career has faltered as he continues his battle with drug and alcohol abuse. But in recent years, he's rebounded with strong performances in Mulholland Falls and in the Oscar-nominated Thin Red Line. Nick Nolte's career continues to look up. He's working right now on Breakfast of Champions with Bruce Willis. Now back to 48 Hours. From the UBC Museum of Anthropology, time for our weekly movie trivia quiz. 8 years after the release of tonight's movie, Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte worked together again. Can you name that 1990 film? We'll be back with the answer in just a moment. Time for the answer to this week's movie trivia quiz. In 1990, Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy reprised their roles in another 48 Hours, a sequel that never quite lived up to the original. Now back to 48 Hours. Next Sunday night on Red's Classic Theater, it may be one of the best science fiction films ever made, the 1951 Howard Hawks classic, The Thing. Our movie next week on Red's Classic Theater. And that's all the time we have for this week. Hope you enjoyed 48 Hours, starring Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy. We'd like to thank everyone at the UBC Museum of Anthropology for hosting our show this week. Their 50th anniversary celebration continues. If you'd like more information about it, call TV 12 tomorrow morning. We'll put you in touch. I'll see you tomorrow morning on 650 CI with the Wake Up Club, and next week here on Red's Classic Theater at our new time, 10 p.m. Thanks for being with us. Good night, everybody. 48 Hours on Red's Classic Theater will continue. Red's Classic Theater from the UBC Museum of Anthropology will continue. Red's Classic Theater from the UBC Museum of Anthropology will continue. We'll celebrate the past this week on Red's Classic Theater. The UBC Museum of Anthropology is celebrating its 50th anniversary. We'll tour their anniversary exhibit and find out about some other special activities. Our movie this week is 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. We'll tell you why Murphy was sure the movie would flop and review Nolte's interesting career. I'm Red Robinson. Join me, won't you?
Sunday night at 10 on TV 12.
We'll celebrate the past this week on Red's Classic Theater. The UBC Museum of Anthropology is celebrating its 50th anniversary. We'll tour their anniversary exhibit and find out about some other special activities. Our movie this week is 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. We'll tell you why Murphy was sure the movie would flop and review Nolte's interesting career. I'm Red Robinson. Join me, won't you?
Tonight at 10 on TV 12.
This week on Red's Classic Theater, a cop whose partner is a crook. Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy star in 48 Hours, Sunday night at 10, here on TV 12. Tonight on Red's Classic Theater, a cop whose partner is a crook. Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy star in 48 Hours, tonight at 10, here on TV 12. 48 Hours on Red's Classic Theater, Sunday night at 10. 48 Hours on Red's Classic Theater, tonight at 10.